I have two dogs that have gone through the program, one in person and one online. More recently online. Um, and my dogs are Tootsie and Emmett. Emmett did in person and Tootsie did online. Emmett did it probably, almost 2 years ago.
Yeah, you were in Rigby.
Yeah.
Rigby class, is that right?
Yeah, the last Rigby class probably, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And then Tootsie just finished up this last September of 22, or yeah.
Yeah, you graduated with that last session, October through November, I think. Yeah. So you guys are a couple months out of the program with her.
Right. And
awesome.
It's a fantastic program either way. I know, Sarah, you've done a really good job trying to make the online program really personal and personable, and you've been you've been there for us every time we needed questions, very available, and and all the videos and things that you've had and that you would give to us, I think was just very, very good. It was excellent. And
thank you. Were you, when you were in the Rigby class, did I have any of those videos? I know that's kind of been recent. I don't remember if I had the video library or not.
I think you did. It wasn't as extensive though.
No, yeah, I've just been adding as the years have kind of gone by. So I've asked a few people that went through class before the videos and who went through class just this last couple of sessions, and they said they really felt like the videos have really helped kind of solidify the skills throughout the week. So absolutely. I just wasn't sure if you had seen that as well.
Yeah, I did. And they were just, they were more basic, but they were still very informative too. So whenever there was an assignment or anything every week, you would, post a few of the videos that, obviously not as many as they are now, but.
Yeah. So what made you choose our program over so many of the other programs in the area? Was there something specific, or was it kind of just like it fit your schedule? Or do you have?
I think it fit my schedule, and also it's more affordable, much more affordable. There are some people out there charging unbelievable prices for training, and a lot of it, and we've talked about this before online, a lot of people use treats for and I just have never, I've trained probably 3 or 4 dogs in my lifetime, and I've never used the treats. Now when I'm teaching tricks, yes. Yes, but
I was going to ask if that's something that you used when you were doing your trick, like
yes,
AKC trick. What's
dog.
The
trick
dog?
Yeah, and Emmett knows. I've said he knows around 30 tricks.
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
Maybe more. And Tootsie, she probably knows almost 10 now.
Well, that's cool.
I mean, tricks or treats. Just if a dog is treat motivated, man, you can teach them just about anything. But the thing that I didn't like, and I did a couple other classes with other trainers in the area, is that they use treats, and I'm like, well, I don't really want to carry around treats all over the, in my pockets all the time. And I would ask them about that, and they'd say, well, we'll phase them out, but why don't you just teach them that in the first place without treats? And I know what you use, the Kohler method, is a very old but well-established program. And what's his name? What was his first name? Robert?
William. Yeah.
He trained countless dogs using that method. Even a lot of the Disney dogs, and he didn't need to use treats and that kind of thing. And I was really impressed with that. So.
Okay, awesome.
I didn't know that at first, but.
Oh, at first that we didn't use cookies or
use the Kohler method. Okay. I didn't know that until I think some of the information you gave us did say that you use the Kohler method. It's a lot more, it's a more modernistic version now.
Yeah. So the founders of Scotch Pines, they traveled across the states trying to find the most effective off-leash program. And they did, they settled on the Kohler method of, and then we've kind of just changed. I mean, it's the premise of what it is, but we've kind of changed it, made it our own in a certain way. So, I mean, we do have our specific Scotch Pines method, but it came from the Kohler method for sure. So,
Yeah, so the basis was the
mhm. Yep.
so it's impressive. I mean, it's pretty, I mean, when we do your program, as long as you do what you're supposed to do, and it's a lot of work, you get results very quickly. So
Mhm. So did you find one dog was easier than the other, or sometimes people that come through the program the first time, it's kind of overwhelming because you're learning and your dog is learning. And then when they come through with a second dog, they tell me that it's a little easier because you already kind of know the program. Was that your experience, or did you have a harder dog, but it was okay because you already knew the program, or what was your experience that way?
they were different. I think they're both really smart dogs and really, I mean, doodles are tough because that's probably what you get mostly now.
Yeah, it is.
You love them or you don't like them, and but mine are, I mean, I'm not bragging, but they're pretty exceptional because they seem like they're really smart and very willing to please, which I think that comes from the golden part of it, the golden retriever part, a little bit of the poodle, but poodles can be, and I've had purebred poodles too.
Okay. So
yeah, I have two poodles, little tiny poodles, and then two doodles, but I've had standard poodles, and they're extremely smart, but they're kind of aloof and they're not as friendly. And that's why we chose these little doodles. But they were different in different ways because, I had Emmett, he was in the in-person program, and that there was a lot of distraction because of the other dogs and everything. But he did well after he figured out, and I figured out what was going on. And Tootsie, it was kind of a learning curve too, because I had to do a lot of this kind of on my own and figure out how to do Marco Polo and all that stuff. And that was kind of hard, but I figured that out. But but as far as who was easier, I think Tootsie was easier, to be honest, even though Emmett's really good. I think Tootsie has, her personality is different. It's not as outgoing. It's a little shyer, but she's so willing to please and so tuned into me. And, I think in the long run, as far as obedience, I think she's going to be more obedient, if that says anything, because Emmett's pretty obedient too. So.
I know. Emmett, I just loved watching you guys in class because he was like, I'm a little social butterfly, but at the same time, like, I'll listen to you. I just thought you guys worked so well together, and I just really enjoyed watching you in class. And then it was really fun watching you on Marco and kind of seeing you throughout the week with Tootsie and kind of watching her just like, you just tell she adored you while you were just working with her. It just was, I really, really, really enjoyed watching you in both aspects, but it is fun to see their different personalities too, because some people are like, well, I got a golden doodle, this other golden doodle that I have should be the same, and they really just, they're not. You're gonna have a different dog every time.
No, and
regardless of the breed, even if it's the same.
Absolutely. So, and they're actually cousins.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah.
Because Emmett's just teeny tiny, and then Tootsie, I think I was a little surprised that she was bigger, but I guess she's
I just over 20 pounds now. So
I think I'm more surprised that Emmett was so small. I just expected him to get bigger, and then I had you came in. I saw you at one of the other classes. You dropped in, and Emmett was still just teeny tiny, and I was like, I expected him to get bigger, but he's just tiny. So
he had a toy poodle dad.
Okay.
And Tootsie has a miniature poodle dad.
Okay.
And But their mothers were sisters.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So with the program, you said that it was a lot of work. What do you think was the hardest part of doing the program, in either or both of the classes? What do you think was the hardest part of it?
Probably the practicing, especially for me, because I work full time, come
Mhm.
home and I have to practice. And I have to admit, I did not work them 2, 3 times a day because I didn't have time. I got pretty good at both of them as far as how much they could take. Because when
Mhm.
Emmett was through, he was a little bit older than Tootsie was, well, maybe 2, 3 months older. And he could only deal about 10, 15 minutes a day. That was it.
Mhm.
Tootsie about the same, although Tootsie probably would do more. But, when the weather got colder and stuff, and I just didn't work her as hard. And,
Mhm.
but that was probably being able to practice as much. And I'd practice in the house, and you were saying do the house, just get creative and stuff, and so we did. But
Yeah.
we were outside as much as we could. But even that, I didn't do a lot as far as that. I mean, I did the best I could, and I did it every day until the last few weeks when I had to give both of them a break because it was
Yeah. Yeah.
but um the healing and stuff, it was, that was a lot of um work that I wish I had a little more time to do. But the sits, the stays, the
Mhm.
downs stuff, I did those a lot of those in the house. The
Yeah. So
recalls,
yeah, we did. I first moved to the area and we did one in-person winter class, and everyone would go home and they just practice in their house. There was a few that practiced outside, but then when you get back into a group of 30 in this building and the dogs had been around any other distractions. And after that, I was like, we'll do winter classes either like privately or online. And then in the spring, those people would come to the group class and kind of get that exposure type of experience. Cause it just was a lot of chaos when you're only with the in-person program, you're coming to class, you're getting the distractions, but then you go out throughout the week and you're outside and doing distraction-based training. But when it's cold, and it's so cold up there that it's just like, I'm not going outside, and I don't blame you for not going outside. And so it just wasn't something that worked. So I think it's totally fine. The people that I've had graduate from my later, like October through November or January through March, they do a lot of work inside. They get really good basis down. And then when the spring happens, they're able to get out and really kind of jump right back in and do a lot of distraction based when it's nicer. So.
well, I look at this as far as with Tootsie, this is her first phase of the class because I'm going to be bringing her to an in-person as soon as, I can.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are you, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No
In the
worries.
spring.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about being able to bring your dog back and drop in? Is that something that was valuable to you, or was that something that you're like, okay, cool perk, or did that make any decision as far as coming through us or anything like that?
It was cool. You mean those graduate classes?
Yeah, well, not just the graduate classes, but the ability to come back and jump into any session that I hold.
I love it. And, another thing, like you're saying, like I said earlier, as far as affordability, that's amazing that you offer that, that we can come back whenever we want to. I mean, years down the road if we had to, just to brush up. And I just, nobody, usually trainers will say, okay, fine, we'll give you a brush up lesson, but we'll charge you whatever, and I just feel that is such a good thing to be able to do, because then we can just come in whenever. And I mean, we don't have to come to all of them. I don't know
No.
if I'll do everything. I might,
Yeah.
because this Tootsie really needs to be around other dogs more.
Mhm.
But you never know. I mean, maybe she'll do fine, and then I come back in another week or so or whatever, and
Yeah.
skip a few weeks, so, but I love that flexibility that you can do that.
Yeah. And then you mentioned the graduate classes. We started those last year where it's just, we do a one night where anyone that's a graduate can come. I loved it. It was such a fun experience for me just because everybody knew what they were doing. And I feel like we were able to do quite a bit of stuff. What was your experience?
It was so fun. It was so fun to see all these dogs just doing their thing and doing it. And there was a couple running around and stuff, but it was
Yeah.
there always is, but it's just so fun. It was like this mass, synchronized, act or whatever, and it was so fun to watch everybody. And the dogs, I mean, normally, well, Emmett, when he was doing it, so he's he goes on walks with me and he does pretty good, and I let him do free dog, or I let him here and there. But when he got in there and I put the leash on him, he's like, oh yeah, I remember this. I got to work. Yeah. And I think a lot of the dogs did the same thing. So I'd highly recommend that for people.
Yeah, I'm so excited to start those again. That was the highlight of my summer. Those were just so fun.
No, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so fun.
Yeah.
So fun.
So we talked about the hardest moments, or what was the hardest about the program. What do you think was your best moment or the best part about the program for you, for either both or just one of the dogs?
Well, for both of them, they got to the point where things just clicked. And when was that? Probably, I'm trying to think of what we learned every week. Maybe the third or fourth week, something like that, when it started to click. And I was amazed with both of them because it just felt so, it's like, the light bulb turned on for both of them. And I think it was after, when we started the heel and everything, and I was healing along, and Tootsie's the most recent, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's just healing right here, and I stop and she's sitting and she knows what to do, and it's so fun to see that, and to see them, both of them just kind of looking at you. Okay, what do you want me to do next? And it's just they just learn in this program to be well, if a dog can be more self-confident, which they can, they learn that. They learn to have fun. They learn to enjoy what they're doing, and that's what I love about it. It's just, it's cool to have experienced it a couple times,
Yeah. Do you think that, so you have a couple of dogs that haven't gone through the program that I believe are older. Do you feel, barely, do you feel like your bonding has been different with the dogs that have gone through the program versus the ones that have not?
Oh, definitely. Because my two little dogs, they're basically lap dogs. They're 9 and 11, so they're old. They're tiny. They're only like 5 or 6 pounds, so they're just different. It's like, even my husband and I, okay, the two dudes, the doodles, we do things with them, and then we take them places, and the other two, they have their issues and everything, but they just are happy to be home and on our laps and stuff like that. But oh yeah, it's just such an amazing thing to be able to do this training, and then I use it for other things, like for the good citizen test, the trick dog. I did some agility with Emmett. And I am confident that he's good. He knows what to do, and he has that amazing foundation that I can branch off and do different things with him and Tootsie. So it's just it's a good foundation. It's really strong foundation.
Yeah, I remember in one of our Zoom calls with everybody, someone asked the question about like knowing or trusting the time when your dog is like ready to go off leash. I know you gave an answer there, but did you find with both of them, you kind of just had this gut feeling where you're like, I am in sync with this dog and I really just, we're ready to go for it? Do you feel like that was the same with both? Or
I think Emmett was more challenging that way. But I knew he was ready to do it, but he's not as, I don't know if he's as strong in that aspect as of off leash, like Tootsie. The other day I went over to, well, we have a next door neighbor and they love playing with the other. And so I'm walking along and she's just, I didn't even tell her, she's just automatically healing. And she just does it. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. I didn't have to tell her. I had to stop. She sits, looks around and keeps going. So it's really been strengthened in her little brain that she knows what to do. I think she is, of the two of them, and even though she was online, I think I can trust her more. I can walk around the neighborhood with her by my side, off leash. I have to watch what's going on if there's cars coming or dogs or this or that. Emmett but I still can walk confidently and not have to look at her all the time. Emmett, I have to watch him because he'll go sniff something or something. He's not as strong in that, but Tootsie is really, she's got it down. So
awesome. Well, that's cool. So after going through the program twice, is it worth the time and effort that it takes to do the work? Because the end goal, is that worth all the time you put into it? Because I mean, you've done 2 dogs now, but 8 weeks and 8 weeks with your.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I know lots and lots of people I don't know lots of people. I know that you do a lot of people at once and they'll take the class and they'll do it, but it's a lifelong thing, Sarah. You have to continue to work with the dogs, not as strictly as you did before and as regimentedly as you did before in, just strict structure, but you still have to work with them because they will forget it. And then, you're back, you could potentially be back to the way it was before you even went to training, so.
Yeah.
So I will always be working on it. Emmett, right now he's not the focus as much as Tootsie is.
Yeah.
But he still has to toe the line. So, So.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. Is there anything else that you would like to chat about? Like, I'm really excited for you to take Tootsie for the Canine Good Citizen test. I'm excited to hear how that goes. But I know you've done that with Emmett, and then you said you were telling us Trick Dog, which is so cool how you can go title your dog to do that. And then agility is so fun. I did that with my shepherd. That just is one of the fun things to do with a dog. But I guess, is there anything else or any advice you would give to someone that was thinking about the program or is in the thick of the hard? Is there anything you would say to them?
I would say to do it. I'd say just, if you want your dog to be well-mannered and, a big reason why I did this in the first place was I wanted to be able to walk my 4 dogs comfortably around. So I have my 2 little dogs on one side. Well, now I put Emmett on one side and Tootsie on the other side.
Okay.
3 dogs on one side and Tootsie on the left side. And I wanted to be able to walk my dogs without any pulling or any I just wanted to enjoy my walks. And that was the main reason why I started doing this.
Okay.
But then after they started learning all this other stuff, it was like, wow, this is really cool. And it just produces the bond that you develop with your dogs doing this is it's really special, And as you were asking me before, I have a stronger bond with these two dogs that went through the program than my other dogs, because we did it together, you know, and
Mhm.
they kind of learn. I mean, they've kind of, they know what I want. They're really intuitive.
Yeah.
And I think that's from the training. So I would just say, yeah, I'd recommend this over anything else, really. And you know, and you don't have to have treats to teach your dog how to do obedience. You you do it with, you want them to learn to love and respect you. And I think in the long run, you know, if you forget your treats somewhere and you're trying to train them and they're not going to listen to you, I mean, you might as well learn a method that you don't need to do that. And I'm thinking that most trainers nowadays do use the cookies, the treats. And I'm so glad I found this program, because it's something that I'd rather not do all the time unless I'm training for trick. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
thank you.
it's
Awesome.
amazing. Thank you. I'm so glad that I could go through this and be a part of this. So
Yeah, I really loved having you in both classes. You just have this fun energy, and you were, I don't know, there's people that I watch in the group when I am teaching that are engaged, that kind of like, I take some of their energy. I guess maybe I shouldn't say that, but I like feed off of their energy. And you were one of the people in both the in-person and online where I was like, I'm going to watch you because you've got that energy and you just help me like be better, I guess. I don't know. So I really enjoyed, just loved watching you work with both of your dogs. It's just been such a fun experience for
working with you.
So.
And I loved working with the people that we had in our group. Doing well. I kind of had this kind of sad, depressed thing for a few days, because I was like, oh, I miss seeing these people. What they're doing, you know? So
in the online one, or
yeah.
I think in your class, did you know some of the people in the rugby session? I want to say that class was like, there was like, there was some groups that were pretty tight there. So.
The online, I felt like I was closer to these people. I don't know why. It seemed like it was much more intimate, and we got to kind of know each other a little better.
Yeah, so that's the one thing that I have made different about online, is if we're going to be online, and big groups are for the distraction. That's why we have that big of a group in person. But online, if we're going to be online and I'm going to be helping you kind of learn how to do this via video, it's got to be smaller. And then when we were able to figure out the Marco Polo in the group so that you could watch other people, their training, and then get the feedback, you can hear their feedback. I know there's been, I think I did 5 online sessions last year, and 4 of the 5, we just had these really like groups that kind of clicked, and they just, I don't know, they're just there cheering and supporting each other. And I don't know, it's such a different experience teaching it online, but I do get to know you. I get to know the person a whole lot more.
Right.
And I get to watch you. I don't know if you've gone back and watched like your first videos through, but that's my favorite thing, is I get to see like from day one, and I get to see multiple times a week. So it's not just me like seeing you pop back up a week later. Right. I get to see the whole experience. And that is probably my favorite part of teaching online, even though it's a little bit, I mean, it's a weird way to teach dog training, but it's been really, really fun experience as I've kind of have gone through it this year. So
it's really, you sit there and you think, and I told somebody, of quite a few people that I did an online training with Tootsie, and how can you do that? Oh yeah, well, Sarah's figured it out to where it's just really intimate, really informative, really a lot of knowledge and expertise in there to be able to, a lot of videos. It's very interactive. That's what I like. I mean, it's interactive enough in the in person, but this was different. It was fun. It was really fun.
would you take if you had another dog, would you start online or would you go just straight into the in-person? Do you have, because you have that free pass to the in-person class if you go through online, which do you think were you able to learn better in one way or another?
Well, as I said, the thing about the online is that you're a little isolated. You can be around other dogs, but because of the nature of it's a little more isolating.
Yeah.
So I would probably, it depends on the time of year as well. When you offer in-person sessions, they're usually when the weather's a little nicer. Although when I first started in Rigby, it was close. And the wind was
were you in like a March class?
Oh, it was so cold.
Yeah. I don't know. I get people that are like, we train outside all the time. I'm like, yep, that's what the program is. Like, you get spring and it's cold and icky, and then it's summer and it's hot, and then it's spring or it's fall and it's cold. Like, I don't know, that's Idaho for you. But I don't know, that's how the program has always been. And people are like, well, why don't you just get a building and teach inside? And I was like, I taught one session inside. You just get too comfortable. You got to be out and you got to be doing the work. Otherwise, you got four walls that keep your dog with you. So people just weren't doing the work because they're not worried about their dog like running away from them because there's four walls. So
and
I don't know.
It's more realistic to be out. You know what I mean? Because that's real world stuff. I mean, are we going to be walking our dog in a building all the time? I mean, or are we going to be outside where there's squirrels running around or other dogs and kids, It's much more realistic to be out. And at first, when I first went for the in-person, I was like, what the heck, 30 dogs in this? Oh my gosh, I don't know. This is weird. But no, the theory behind it is brilliant, because the more distractions, the better. And then your dog learns how to focus more on you and what you want.
Yeah. I just always said, people are like, there's no way you can handle a class of 30. And I was like, that's the best way to do it. I remember when I first started and I was just having classes just got a little bit bigger. I think I had a class where I had 4, and then we had like 15 and then up to 30. But man, when the bigger the group, honestly, I feel like most people get the better results. Last fall, we had a class of 15 and it is so weird to sit there. And I'm like, this is a small class. And everyone's like, look at how many dogs there are. I was like, this is so tiny for me. But I don't know, there's just something about watching everyone with their dogs in that big of a group because you don't see it ever. And so it's just, I don't know. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. And as we were talking about with the graduate class, like I said, it was this performance, I guess is the word, of watch. I mean, that's what it reminded me of. And when you took the videos of it and showed, what it was like. I mean, there were like, 40 dogs maybe? I mean, there were a lot of people, and we're all doing the same thing. And it was like this choreographed performance, which how could you have done that with, when if our dogs weren't used to all those other dogs, they wouldn't do it. So
yeah,
awesome. Cool.
Well, thank you so much for your time.